The thing is so ridiculously fast. Just the front end lifts everywhere, just wheelies off of every little rise. Total blast. So we just stepped onto the Stark Varg SM, the new Supermoto bike, and getting used to the overall feel for this thing. Really strong brakes. We've kind of got the power turned down right now, just kind of getting a feel for it around town. We're going to head up into the mountains and ride this thing and see what it's all about. But so far, everything about it feels really conventional, really comfortable seating position. The riding position is very natural, very enduro, and this bike makes perfect sense for the city, right? It's like such a cool around town bike. Everybody wants a Supermoto bike to rip around on their commute, and having an EV version of that is super cool. So we're going to ride this bike over the next 2 days and really tell you what we think of its position in the market and the handling and up in the mountains, and do a little bit of everything. But we're just getting out of town now, so let's go and ride this thing. Let's go rip this thing around. All right, so we're just riding along the coast here, kind of caught up behind traffic. A couple of my first impressions about the Stark Varg SM is how light and motocross like the handling is, and so much of that side-to-side action is super improved by not having that reciprocating mass of a crankshaft. So the thing just flicks back and forth so light. Like the side-to-side transitions are so much lighter than you might anticipate. Regenerative braking is something that you can customize in every single mode, so you can set the power and regen braking for every mode. Obviously you kind of want the regen set higher so that you can get some of that power back for the battery, but at the same time it's got like a, you know, it feels like the strongest compression braking from an engine. So you kind of got to find your sweet spot there, find a setting where it feels more natural to whatever your tastes are, and that's a little bit unique about it. But it's all customizable, so you can go in and pick those power modes and then set up those regenerative braking. We're still playing with it. We've set up the power like in 30, 40, 50, 60, 80 increments and kind of cycling through those. Once you get up into the upper power ranges, the thing hauls butt. The front wheel lifts off the ground. Super fun. All right, now we're out on some twisty roads, and I think I have this thing maybe set right now at like the 50 horsepower level, and holy criminy is it fun. The thing is so ridiculously fast. Just the front end lifts everywhere, just wheelies off of every little rise. Total blast. Started playing with the regenerative braking a little bit. I set up a custom mode, turned the regenerative braking down to about 50% on the mode I really like, which is like 60 horsepower. Super fun. I kind of been switching back and forth, and if we're just kind of stuck in traffic or something, I just shut it down to a much lower mode to save battery. But then when we're in a fun part, you turn it up, get it where you want it, and it's super fun. But the regenerative braking makes such a big difference on how the bike reacts that I really turned that down a bit so it felt more natural. And if you have it way up, like I was saying before, it's just, it regenerates so much. All right, so now we've got our first little bit of range anxiety, a little bit. We're at 27% charge, and we're up in the hills. Got to ride back down into Barcelona, and so we'll be changing the mapping around quite a bit to make sure that or the power levels quite a bit to make sure that we're not running out of battery. But we've kind of done a pretty fun long loop today, doing a bunch of wheelies, screwing around, and I don't know what the mileage at this second is on the trip today, but I'll figure it out and share that. But so far, for a fun little afternoon out ripping, it's been pretty cool. and not overly worried about the range. Around town, no worries. Around town, you don't have to think about it because the thing is, you know, you're not going super fast, but it's when you get out and really have sustained speed that it really chews up the battery quickly. My power setting 1 is about 30 horsepower, I think, or somewhere in there, and that's not that much fun, honestly. It's not nearly as fun as 60 to 70 or to 80. 80 is crazy, but you can't do that for too long and your battery's going to be completely smoked. One thing that I will say about the master cylinder that they chose on the front is it doesn't have much lever travel at all. So, and the brake is really strong. So trying to find that sweet spot where you've got the ability to modulate the brake really nice is a little bit difficult. I would like a little bit more travel on the front brake. The rear brake is great. It's got really good modulation. You can feel where you're at with it, and it's, you know, much more normal feeling. The front is got just like literally a half an inch of travel and you're at full power. Like I was saying earlier, handling wise, this thing is really fun side to side. It's so snappy. You don't have that reciprocating crank making the thing slow down in mid corner. It just, you put the bar input in and it just does what you want it to do, and it, you know, feels like a legit Supermoto bike in that sense. The geometry, everything about it really feels like a totally legit Supermoto bike. After riding this thing most of the day, the hand rear brake's starting to grow on me a little bit. I was really struggling with it this morning, but now that I've kind of got the feel for it, backing it into corners is pretty fun actually. You can do it on the left or on the right and not feel like you're all out of balance. The only way you can tell anything's happening is you can just hear the tire squealing. All right, we're rolling out on our second day on the Stark Varg SM, and we're gonna do a city tour of Barcelona, which should be pretty cool, and obviously give us a lot more range than we did in the mountains yesterday. Yesterday we did a little bit of freeway, did a little of everything, some fast mountain roads, and the bike did about 54 miles yesterday in those conditions. So I'm super curious to see what it does today in a more urban environment. So this should be a good test of what your average commuter person would experience on the SM. Around town, it's definitely worth it to just put it in a lower power mode and set the regen a little bit higher, keep your battery power kind of, you know, from getting eaten up, so that you can save it for when you really want to have fun. Speaking of city stuff, one of the things I forgot to mention yesterday was, and I was talking to the engineers about it, is kind of like Honda's DCT bikes that have a little parking brake, because when you park the bike, the thing just wants to roll away otherwise because it's not in gear per se. That's kind of something I think that this SM needs too, because let's say you live in San Francisco and you have a Varg SM and you park it, the thing just basically goes into a neutral state, and you really want to have something to keep the bike from rolling away. So a little park brake would be kind of a cool thing for them to add in the future. All right, we'll see how our day goes today. We got some rain and lightning in the distance, which brings up another thing. So basically the Vargs basically have different modes, but they're not like your traditional modes on a bike that we're used to, like rain, road, sport. It doesn't have that. You just have 5 different numbered modes, and you can customize all 5 and basically set your individual power setting and set your regen braking setting. But those are kind of the only options you have. You don't have any traction control or anything like that for the rain, so you're really having to make sure that you've got that stuff set up on your own, so that you have a good setting for if it's slick out, because you don't want to be, I can promise you, you don't want to be in the 80 horsepower or 60 horsepower even if it's raining out on a slick road, because the torque is freaking mega. I mean, it's, you don't really have, they don't have an algorithm to be mellower in the bottom or the top or anything like you would for a rain mode on another conventional bike. All right, we're riding in the rain now. So we're on Montjuic, the site of the Olympics back in the past, and riding around on some slick roads. I've got the power all the way down to like 20 horsepower just to be safe, and have the regenerative braking turned up a little bit, and then you don't even need to use the brakes almost at slower speeds. So just giving this kind of a go, seeing what it's like. It's got nice tires on it, so the rain shouldn't be an issue at all, but you know, like I was saying earlier, you don't really have a specific rain mode, so you kind of got to set up your own map for that. When you're riding around town, I will definitely say that 20 horsepower is pretty much adequate. Like, it's not spicy, but it's good, so you can't really complain, and you're saving a ton of battery. But yeah, the power delivery is really nice. Like 20 horsepower is, for around town, really good. It's, you know, some of the other power levels are just so bonkers that you'd just be wasting your time around town, and the front end's light all the time. And yes, if you're screwing around, that's great, but otherwise, you know, being in these lower power settings is totally cool. It's fine. So another thing to mention from a functional standpoint is when you come to a stop and you've been sitting for about 10 or 15 seconds, the green light will start flashing, which means it's no longer active. So before you leave a stoplight, you've got to hit the bottom button here and activate it so that you'll have power when you go. And of course you forget that all the time. So sometimes when you're sitting at a light, I just sit here and crack the throttle open a little bit to not really move, but to keep it from going to sleep, essentially, to not having drive. So that's just a functional thing you've got to watch when riding it in an urban environment. For sure, we've been in town now for about 15-20 minutes, and the battery is doing awesome around town. I mean, it lasts so much longer just in this urban environment. The battery power really doesn't move that much, so you can really get a lot of range around town and not have to worry about it. Really different than if you put any highway or anything into the factory.
So as with all the Stark models, the SM is available on the website. You can go in there, you can put in all your specifics and order it how you want. You can pick either a 60 horsepower model, you choose an 80 horsepower model, you have those options. And then you can go through, pick whatever tires you want. They've got 3 different seat options, but you can set up the suspension how you want, set up the tires how you want, set up the seat how you want. And then beyond that, there's not too many other options right now. But like we said, you get all of those European turn signals and lights and stuff like that in the box with it. So if you don't like how it looks with the US things, you can switch those over. But with Stark, you can either order the bike through a dealer, or you can order it off the website and they'll deliver it to your house. And then it comes in a crate with all that stuff in it and really detailed instructions on how to assemble it yourself. Doesn't look too difficult. Basically, you're just putting the wheels on, putting the handlebar on, doing a couple things like that, plug it in, and you're ready to go. It also comes with the stand that's the battery charger, and as we mentioned, it also comes with the new backpack charger that is portable, weighs about 4 pounds, and you can take that and use it in a normal outlet somewhere else to charge it. So that's the Stark Varg SM here from Barcelona, Spain at the Stark factory.